Okay. Hello, my name is Andrea Cox. I am the volunteer and site manager for PAWS for People. I manage the children's program, so schools, libraries, different mental wellness sites for the kiddos. So I am here today to help you learn about PAWS for Reading and how we do that and what makes PAWS for Reading stand out and be so helpful to the kids in the program. PAWS for Reading has just celebrated its 20-year anniversary. Yay! So it's been 20 years of this program. That just proves to us how valuable it is in the community and what good work we get to do with it. So I'm going to go through and do some things and teach you some things about all of this stuff up here and why it's important for our PAWS for Reading visits and what the benefit of them is. For me, when I'm sitting and watching someone do a presentation, if I have a question, if I wait till the end, I've forgotten that question. So I'm going to encourage you to, if you have a question at any point in time, you can just kindly stop me, ask the question, and I'll do my best to answer it then. Because again, if we get to the end, I know that I would forget the question, and I want to make sure that all of your questions are answered. Okay? Okay. So PAWS for People is a nonprofit volunteer organization, and we serve parts of, well, all Delaware, parts of Maryland, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. We do this to bring comfort and joy to people in our communities. Culture of PAWS is specifically designed to create a value for our clients, which are the people we visit, and all of our volunteers. So we always want to have a positive experience for us, the people that are visiting, our pets, so always advocate for your pets, and then the people that you're visiting with. So 1, 2, 3, us, the pets, and the people we're visiting. One of our very, very special programs is PAWS for Reading. Again, it's been around for 20 years. This was developed just because of a need. All of our programs at PAWS come based on there was a need for this program, so this is why we're doing this. And again, 20 years strong, we're going to teach you how to do the same thing so that you can be that like extra bit of magic in a child's life to help them and encourage them to want to keep reading, to read better, more proficiently, because we know that we first learn how to read and then we read to learn. So again, literacy is very, very important. So we want to make sure that all of our kiddos are getting the best start at reading that we can. So our mission statement is to lovingly provide elders, children, and folks with disabilities individualized therapeutic visits with gentle, affectionate pets. All of you have already been through the whole training and certification process, so there are going to be some things that we talk about that will be a little bit of a refresher for that, but other things more specific to reading. Make sense? Okay. So the philosophy of PAWS for Reading. Does anyone think why there could be something special about PAWS for Reading? Okay. You're like, you're the trainer, you tell me.
So no
yes.
judgment zone.
Yes, Andrea, it is absolutely no judgment zone. That's the beauty of it. So the whole thing is based on a non-judgmental therapy companion. So we work specifically with our animals, yes, dogs, cats, and rabbits. All of them are welcome to do reading because they are wonderful listeners. They're not going to judge anyone that's learning how to read or trying to get better at reading. Again, the beauty of a non-judgmental therapy animal. So the reading philosophy is simple. Therapy animal, dog, cat, or rabbit, book, magic, right? Because you think about it and you're like, okay, so what's so special about this? If you're in a classroom and you have to read aloud, I remember reading aloud in school and you would have the teacher say, okay, this paragraph is you, this paragraph is you, this paragraph is you. How many of you sat and would count the paragraphs to then practice reading it? So you know, okay, I'm not going to sound stupid. I have to make sure I know how to say all these words, right? So they have that pressure in school. We want to remove that pressure from them when they're doing these visits. So when they're doing this, your dog's going to sit and be like, or your cat is going to sit and say, oh, that sounds great. That sounds great. They're not going to say, wait, what was that word? You missed that. That doesn't make sense. They're not going to say that. So the kids are going to just keep reading and saying, oh, this is nice. This is nice. I can do this. This is nice. And that's the goal of PAWS for Reading. It's not to teach reading. It's to support the reading process for the kids. So we're looking for positive support, an enjoyable reading experience. We're not the children's teachers, so we're not trying to teach them how to read. We're encouraging, we're supportive. We want to make sure that they have fun. If they have fun, they're likely to what? read more. It becomes a one-on-one individual thing when they're hanging out with you in their special place with your dog or cat. So we have programs at different facilities like schools and libraries. We have partnerships, and we assign teams to visit the facilities, then sign up children, whether it's a school or a library, to come and read to your therapy animal. We have different incentives for them. I have incentives here that I will show you that you all will get as part of your reading bag. But it really is a wonderful way for the children to have the spotlight removed and just really sit and focus and read in an enjoyable atmosphere. So why is it important? So think about it, okay? I said, like, all right, we first learn to read, then we read to learn. So if you're a child and you're a struggling reader, you're going to miss out on everything. It's going to set you behind if you can't read at the same grade level as everyone else, right? So we're just helping kids find their natural place where they can become better, stronger readers. We just had a mom from a library. Her daughter reads at the Havertown Library, and she wrote in and said, "This is amazing. This is so amazing." She said, "My daughter just earned her first t-shirt." So the Goldie's Gang program is an incentive program that we partner with a very, very generous donor. They provide t-shirts that once the children get their cards stamped, then 5 times they get a t-shirt. So it's a wonderful way for children to have something to look forward to. They're earning something. So you think, oh, it's just a little stamp. Oh, it's just 10 to 15 minutes here or there. But they look forward to it. They then develop that love of going to the library. Because now, hey, oh, it's the first Thursday of every month. Hey, Mom, are we going back? Mom, when's the next time we're going to the library? Mom, did you sign me up? So they get excited. And so if they're excited about going to the library, they're going to keep going to the library. They're going to go to the library. They're going to check out books. They're going to read books. They're going to increase their reading comprehension, and they're just going to be better students overall. So animal-human interactions have scientifically shown benefits such as reduced stress levels. So several studies have shown the positive effects and benefits from animal-human interaction. So most studies can trace this common bond back to tribal societies where explorers befriended animals during their voyages. So a study done by James Serpell called In the Company of Animals highlights these historical relationships. So imagine these relationships. If you don't have a dog at home, you can visit with one at the library. But you know what? You'd be surprised how many kids come to the library that have dogs at home, right? So we say, hey, oh, well, when you check out your books here, you can go home and also read to your dog at home. Sometimes you're like, my dog's not well enough behaved. My dog doesn't sit still. But they also like to see different dogs because maybe they have a small dog like Willie. Maybe they have a large dog like Murphy or like Molly, right? Maybe they have a cat at home, like different. Again, you'll see the different incentives that come with the reading bag. Some kids just like to collect the cards that come, and they'll say, oh, I have a card from Murphy. I have a card from Molly. I have a card from Hayes. I have a card from Willie. So they do collect the cards, absolutely, and they do get to collect their shirts after they read 5 times. And what participants say about PAWS for reading. My daughter loves to go to school to read to Sparky and then comes home to find another book to read to him next time. So again, this is just like igniting the fire of wanting to read more. I read to Sky, a stuffed PAWS for reading dog, almost every night like I promised. I didn't like to read aloud before, but now I do. So this is a Sky dog. We have a program that's the Sky Dog program. Again, Sky was a dog that belonged to one of our very first PAWS for Reading teams. And when her pup passed, they came up with this program to keep Sky's legacy going. So certain schools will get Sky dogs for their readers. I had a volunteer team actually say, hey, I want to get Sky dogs for my classrooms, the kids that are reading to my dog, which ironically her dog is also named Sky. She's like, oh, that's amazing. So she got Sky dogs. So the Sky dogs will come with a certificate where the child will sign off and pledge to read to Sky every night. So again, they're getting that unconditional, non-judgmental, because is this guy going to talk back? Is he going to say, you read that wrong? No, he's not. So a lot of our readers become better readers, and they owe it all to PAWS, not all of it, but a lot of it to PAWS, because they are now excited about reading. It's not just a thing that they have to do, it's a thing they want to do. So another child said, Radar, who is the name of the dog, listens to me read. He makes me like reading. I like it when Boo comes and sits with me when I'm writing. I can concentrate better when he's leaning on me. PAWS gives me a reason to read. So, do you guys like to read? Okay. I was hoping that you would, Claire. I was like, so again, like, maybe you would like to read more if you had a therapy dog when you were growing up that you got to read next to. My daughter doesn't like reading. I did everything that I could have possibly imagined to get her to like reading, but she never did. But my husband doesn't either, so I'm like, okay, maybe apple, tree, not too much of a distance. I love reading because it can take you to a different place. It can relax your brain, but also you can learn things, right? So what makes an effective PAWS for Reading team? Any suggestions? Okay, so an effective PAWS for Reading team, honestly, you have to want to be here. So what we need from you is to have passed the Standards of Excellence evaluation at advanced. Other than that, it's just the motivation. I would say you like children. I wouldn't think that someone that didn't like children would say, I want to be a reading team. So I would say you would like to be around children. Again, we often have retired teachers and people that worked with children like throughout their careers that say, you know what, I miss them. Maybe I didn't think I would, but I do. We have a teacher that retired 2 years ago, and she now visits in the school that she retired from because she said, I'm not done with these kids. And so even if she's not working in their classroom, they see her and her dog in the hall and they're like, oh, Miss Kathy, Vivi, they love to see them, even though, again, she's not visiting in their classroom. She wanted to give back in that way. So again, PAWS is all about giving back in the way that makes sense for you. We have people that want to do hospitals, people that want to do assisted living facilities, then we have people that don't want to do that. And they say, no, I want to work with kids. So we try to respect what everyone wants to do. If you're not happy doing it, are you going to keep doing it? No. So if you find your thing and you say, I want to do reading because I want to work with kids, fantastic. That's why you're here. So what we're looking for, again, that advanced level STEX. Can your pet sit comfortably and quietly for like multiple 10 to 15 minute sessions? Now, you thought that maybe your dog might not be able to do this, but it looks like she can do this. It looks like she can do this. Well, but it looks like she'd be no problem. So very comfortable around children because, you know, children, again, have a little bit more energy and their movements can be faster. So if you have a dog that's a little bit more nervous, maybe you just like try it out a little bit. Try to expose your dog to children to make sure that would be a good fit. Can your dog deal with distractions? Because again, libraries, we used to think about libraries being shh, but now our libraries are places that are resources to everyone. So I haven't been in a library that was quiet in a very long time, especially in the children's section where most of the PAWS for Reading sessions take place in the children's section. Sometimes they're in a conference room, but there's always children around, other families around. Again, at the Haverford Township Library, there's the children's libraries on the second floor, and there's constantly something going on. There's a whole game room over here, there's all the books here, and the reading is in these rooms, but there's always movement. Again, it's children. You can't expect them to be just like quiet in the library. They're never going to want to go if it's just like this place where you have to be like this, right? So we're looking for animals that are okay with that. Can your animal take a treat calmly and gently? So we're not saying you have to have them accept treats from children, but if you're going to, can they take it calmly and gently? The kids will always ask, can I give them a treat? Can I give them a treat? So if your dog likes treats and you're okay having your dog receive treats from children, again, make sure that it's very, I keep saying the T word. I keep saying the T word. I am so sorry. So make sure that if you would like to have them have something special that you tell the child how to, again, back to the original training, open hand, flat palm, and also if you are going to do that, understand that if you're at a library, you should have anywhere from like 4 to 6 readers. So that would be multiple TREATs. So just keep that in mind. We have a volunteer who used to give her pup Cheerios because it's little. She thought she was getting something, but it wasn't that much. So she could get multiples. Like she could walk through the hospital and have 50 Cheerios and just think like, "Ooh, this is fantastic." But if you had a regular TREAT, 50 of them would be quite too much, right? Okay, so again, you want to make sure that your pup, those eyes, that your pup is patient and understanding. Your human is patient and understanding with your pup, and you have an enthusiasm for children. Again, this wouldn't be the right fit for you if you were like, I don't really like kids, right? So we want to make sure that you're finding something that is interesting to you and to your pup as well. All right.
How do the sessions work? How long does the dog have to be in one place?
Okay.
Is there a break between?
Okay. So how long, the question is how long the sessions work. So most libraries, the visits are for an hour. So they are either like 4 15-minute sessions or 6 10-minute sessions. So again, like most PAWS visits, we expect them to be about an hour. So library visits are scheduled for an hour. But if at any point in time, always be an advocate for your pet. If your dog's having a rough day, you can get up and excuse yourself. I'm so sorry, but today is not the day. He's not feeling well. It happens on occasion. We've had teams that will, if your dog gets restless, I'm going to try not to drag the dog around. They might just take the dog, get up, take a quick circle around, just a reset, and bring them back. Okay, so you can try that first. If that doesn't work, and if you think you need to excuse yourself, you can excuse yourself. Some will just take a quick walk outside because sometimes our pups will surprise us, and even regardless of how many, can I say potty? How many potty breaks we've given them, they might still feel the need to go. So we don't want you to ignore the cues your dog's giving you. Never ignore your dog's cues. Always be an advocate, because if you ignore your dog's cues, if your dog's uncomfortable, your dog can become unpredictable. So we don't want unpredictable. We want nice predictability where your dog is happy and healthy and engaged, or just even if they fall asleep. Some kids will say, "He fell asleep? You did such a great job reading. Of course he fell asleep." So it's not a bad thing if they fall asleep. So don't feel like, he's bored. Question.
What would be some differences with cats?
Differences with cats. So we have a cat that does phenomenal reading visits. He just likes to snuggle. So he will, if the child's comfortable, he will snuggle on their lap, or he can sit with his owner, and they can read while he's sitting. It's really still a lot of the same thing, really. Do you just take your cat like on a harness and leash, or does he take a stroller?
He's on I put him on a leash.
Okay, so he's on a leash. It's the same thing. You're going to sit. I'll show you the setup. We always say, like, if you want to bring a small blanket that the child can sit on. So you'd put your blanket out. You'd have a spot. Some volunteers will sit in a chair next to their animal. Some will sit on the floor with the kids. So it, again, completely up to you if you decide that you want to sit in a chair or on the floor. Personal preference and comfort. Not everyone is comfortable getting up and off the floor. So again, up to you. Your animal is going to sit, and the child can sit on the blanket next to your animal. You might have a child that is a little bit more hesitant, and that's okay. If the child says, "Oh, I want to read to your cat," but is over here, that's fine. Often we find that they might start over here, and then slowly as they're reading, they get closer. Okay? So it does work basically the same way with cats. You just want to have a nice, if your cat has a favorite blanket, bring something that your cat's going to be comfortable laying on. You can hold the cat, but also make sure that the child has access to the cat. So again, even if you have a stroller, I don't know if you are into pet strollers, but some people have strollers and for cats, even some small dogs, and they will wheel them in that way. It might be easier if you were to do that to have like the child sit in a chair and then put the hand in the stroller and be able to pet the cat.
Yeah, he likes to ride on my shoulders.
Okay.
But he's pretty good. If I have him out, he's usually pretty friendly and calm. I guess I was just concerned about him, like possibly maybe being distracted, wandering off or something.
Okay. So he likes to sit on your shoulders, and you are concerned that he might wander off. If I
put him down.
If you put him down, okay. Are you able to just hold him?
Yeah, I can usually kind of have him around me.
Okay.
I guess it just depends on the mood he's in and what's going on.
All right. Is he okay with like other people holding him? Would he be okay with the children holding him?
Yeah, he's good.
Okay, then it might be best that you just say, hey, would you like to hold him? Start out that way and see if they want to hold him. And maybe they read the book, hold the book with one hand like this. Maybe they put the book on the floor and just try to. The most important thing is that they're excited to be there. They have a book, they're engaged with the book, and they're engaged with the cat at the same time. Okay? All right. So, the things that you would take to your reading visit. Your therapy companion. A blanket, that would be nice to like spread out so that you're comfortable, the animal's comfortable somewhere for the child. You're also going to bring your PAWS for Reading bag. So your PAWS for Reading bag, you're going to get it tonight. It's going to have all kinds of cool things in it, some incentives for you. So the first thing that you're going to see, there's going to be the folder. It's going to have a certificate saying that you completed the course. It's going to have a refresher of the training in case you need to revisit anything there. There's a few children's books in it. Every now and then, believe it or not, even though they're in a library, you might have a child say, I don't have a book. So guess what? You have a few books. And these are my first reader books. So they're good for very, very struggling readers, younger readers, hesitant readers because they're easier. So you don't want to make a child feel bad for being an older kid and grabbing a lower level book. Number one, you don't know their reading level. Number two, it's still going to be a positive experience for them. You just want them to be reading. Doesn't matter what they're reading. Sometimes you might have a child that isn't even really old enough to read, but they still like the experience of going to the library. So one of the things that I always recommend to people is, that's okay. Tell them what's happening. Tell Murphy what you see on the page. Like, or what do you see there? Or what color is the cat? Try to engage that way with the book because you're still engaging the child with the book. You still have your magical therapy companion and they're still excited to be at the library. So you can put other books in your bag. Yes.
That's going to be my question.
Yes, you may absolutely take other books for the children to choose from because again, we do also go into schools. So you might have a few of your favorite books that, hey, they love Pete the Cat. A lot of kids love Pete the Cat. You might like to also, Evan, have Pete the Cat books because you'd be visiting with a cat. So it's always nice to be able to have something that's cat friendly. But yes, we have another team actually, Claire, that writes their own books. And she says, can I use my books? And I said, as long as they're child appropriate, absolutely, absolutely. Other things that come in your reading bag, the Pawtograph book. I think Pawtograph book. So you'll get visit cards. So you'll have I read to Murphy cards, I read to Willie cards, I read to Hayes cards. So you'll have their card that will be personalized with their picture. And then you also have a Pawtograph book. So the Pawtograph book you can use for your reading friends to leave messages to your animal. So the best thing, my favorite thing, is when you take a new team to the library and they're doing this for the first time and you get to say, you get to be the very first reader to sign Murphy's book. They get so excited to do that. So excited to do that. So I would recommend giving them just a fewer minutes reading so they have time to sign the book. Also in the bag will be bookmarks. So you get bookmarks, you'll get the reading cards, you get the Pautograph book, you get some books, the paw print stamps. The paw print stamps we use to mark the Goldie's Gang card. So the Goldie's Gang is a program that is used in the libraries. It's an incentive for the kids to keep reading. If they read 5 times, get their card stamped 5 times, the librarian or the parent sends that card back to us. Then we have a wonderful volunteer that makes sure that each child that completes their 5 visits gets a certificate that says their accomplishment and a t-shirt. It says Goldie's Gang on it. Again, I recommend to you, because I've done this a few times, when you get home, open this up. These are all shrink wrapped. Undo the shrink wrap before your first visit, because you don't want to be sitting there with a child that says, oh, hey, here's my card. Can you stamp my card? And then you're fiddling, holding your leash, trying to open these up while you have another child waiting and you're trying to stamp this card. So I just recommend that you would do this at home. As you go through the bag, just get familiar with it, go through the bag, look at it, and definitely unwrap all of these. The stamps do inevitably at some point in time dry out. If they do, let us know. We've replaced them. There's no charge for those. The Pautograph book. If you do enough sessions and you have enough readers, you will run out of pages. Again, we will replace this for you, no charge. If you would like to purchase more reading cards, you may do so. Again, it's like $5 for a pack of reading cards. We, from time to time, get wonderful donations from Amazon. So when we have things like that are child appropriate, they're extra incentives and they go in the reading bag. So we also have a team that she likes to provide her own incentives. She will order things from like Oriental Trading that are just like the rubber bracelets, the rainbow things, the duckies. She always has duckies. So things like that are child appropriate, you can also do that. We have a volunteer that has literally stickers made with her pet's face on them. And so when they leave the library, you will see them with Jenny on their hand, Jenny on their cheek. They just like to have Jenny somewhere. So again, that's perfectly fine to just add to your visit. Again, 1, 2, 3, I think I got everything in the bag. All right. So other things that you might like to take for your pet would be water. If you're in the habit of carrying water, always bags for your pup's relief. If you're visiting a library school, find a place away from the door to make sure that your pup has gone before they go in. If you need to take a break while you're reading, politely excuse yourself and go back outside to a nice area away from everything and take whatever your pup leaves behind with you, kindly. You may want to take some wet wipes, water for yourself. You might want to take a brush. Some children like to brush your dog, if your dog is a dog that is able to be brushed. What you want to wear for a visit is you want to have your name tag, your PAWS leash, comfortable clothing as always, appropriate clothing, so nothing too short, nothing revealing. Again, going back to your standard orientation and training. If you want to take TREATS's for your pup, you may do that as well. Again, understand that once the children see them, they're going to want to give them. We have a team that's been visiting for probably about 18 years. And he never gives his pup the TREAT, you know what I'm saying. He never gives it to him. He always makes sure that whoever he's visiting is the one to do it, because he says he never wants his animal's attention to be on him. He always wants it on the visitor. So whenever I have the opportunity to share that advice, I share that advice. Because again, you know, anyone can have their dog like lovingly looking into their eyes. Well, that's your dog, right? But you want to see if you can get them focused on the child. So you want to make sure that you're having like a nice, warm, friendly environment where the child's going to feel comfortable. Again, some children will be nervous at first. They might slowly warm up to you. There are times that the child might, in the very beginning, might be very shy. It might not be till maybe your second, third, or fourth time seeing them that they kind of warm up. But again, they keep showing up, they're engaged. be okay with their shyness, right? Because if they're kind of embarrassed to read aloud in front of the class, now you're an adult sitting there. They might be a little embarrassed to read in front of a stranger too. So just power through. You have your animal, but Murphy really wants to hear your story. It's okay. Take your time. Murphy really wants to hear it. Yes.
So, if you have a kid that's more interested in playing with your dog than reading,
Okay.
I'm sure that happens. Is there any tips for gently redirecting?
Okay. So if you have a child that's more interested in playing with the dog than reading, absolutely try to redirect. You don't want to be forceful because you still want it to be fun. You want it to be fun and engaging, and you can have them say, well, maybe just, hey, can you read that one sentence for me? And just like a little bit at a time, but you don't want to be overbearing. You don't want it to make it like a teaching moment. You want them to still be engaged and having fun. So you can put it back on the dog. Molly really wants to hear that story. She was really excited to hear you read today. She's been waiting all day to come here. She's got her listening ears on. You know what I mean? Like, try to redirect it to the pet, because the child most likely will want to please the animal. So if you can kind of just gently put that switch in there, and if they still don't, they still don't. You don't want it to be a negative thing where they say, she told me I had to read. You don't want it to be negative, right? So try to just keep it positive and try to get them to do something with the book, right? Well, maybe, hey, like, well, how many pages are there? Or, hey, can you show me something green on that page? Or Molly's collar has green on it. Can you show me some green in the book? And try to get them engaged with the book more, okay? All right. So sometimes we have kids that will literally snuggle your dog like it's their own dog. And sometimes you'll have some that will be far away. If they're far away, it could be fear-based. So you want to make sure that you're not being like overbearing, say, oh, you have to sit this close. No, they don't. They don't. They can stay there if they want to. It's okay. So make sure that you're supportive of their feelings and understand that some children are afraid of dogs, but they still want to read. Sometimes the parents are afraid. That's always interesting. When you have the child that's like, Mommy, I want to read to the dog. And the child, literally, I saw this at a library. The child was like this, and the mom was behind, pulling the child back a little bit because she was nervous. She had the fear. And so finally, like, Dad was like, it's okay. It's okay. All right. So what do you think about, like, parents and other readers, other, like, siblings being around? So perfectly fine. We often have, like, aside from a school setting, if you're in a library, you're going to see often parents. The parents should be there because there shouldn't be children just roaming around the library free. You never know if the child has an allergy, so you want to make sure that the parent is there giving permission. Often the librarians will sign the children up. The parent will sign up with the librarian, so then they'll go to the librarian and say, hey, I'm here for my reading session. The librarian will walk them over to you. So you know everything's good, they have permission, they're fine. But I would say just be careful of children roaming and just like if they just walk up to you, because they shouldn't be there just by themselves. So I learned this a little while ago in Cecil County in Maryland. Children 8 years old and over are permitted to be in the library by themselves, which I think is that is very young. But because of just like different schools, there's a school that lets out and they're allowed to go and wait for their parent to pick them up after school. So it's kind of like putting the child care on the library, which I don't think is fair, but that's not for me to say. But you just have to make sure that you're aware of the situation. Like, wait, did your mom give you permission to be here? Just make sure that you're not engaging just like random children, just like rolling through. Most of the time at the libraries, though, they're going to be signed up with the librarian. So you want to make sure that, okay, this is a child that's signed up with the librarian's bringing them over. The visits also normally are later afternoon or Saturday mornings. There's a few like de-stress programs that aren't for smaller kids that are like 3:30, 4 o'clock. There's a few readings that start at 4. But often you shouldn't see children without a parent nearby.
What
Yes.
are the ages generally for the libraries?
We do not have an age limit. Perfect question. We do not have an age limit because anyone that wants to read could use help reading. That's fine. I have another story I will tell you about someone that was a full-grown man that would read to one of our therapy companions. So you might say, why is there a full-grown man reading to our therapy companions? This man was a Marine, and he served our country, and he had a traumatic brain injury. So he had to relearn how to read. So he came to the library and read to one of our dogs. So there is no age limit to reading. Some people will say, oh, well, that's just a toddler, they can't read. If they're excited to be here and pointing at a book, guess what? When they're able to read, they're going to be sitting here still waiting for you and your dog. So again, never too early, right? People literally read to their children while they're in utero, right? Never too early to develop a love for reading. So we see often children, we'll see siblings. We do like it to be as much of an individualized visit as possible so they get all of that attention and focus on themselves. But sometimes it happens, right? We try to avoid having parents interfering. And when I say interfering, it's because they might do that bit where, Johnny, that's not the right word. No, Johnny, that's not. And that's what we're trying to avoid, right? So we want to make sure that you can politely say different ways to let the parents know that it's okay. Oh, that's okay. You know what? Murphy's fine. He's all right. Just let him read. He's fine. Murphy doesn't know the word either. It's fine. It's fine. Because sometimes the parents do want their child to just excel, but that's not what this program's about. That's for school. This is for just confidence.
I got a lot of questions.
That's okay. Wonderful.
Are the parents told that in advance of signing when they sign their kid up? Were they informed that it's just for the kid to read, not for you to?
Excellent question. Are the parents told that it's for the children and not for them? Well, we have currently 40 libraries that we visit with throughout our paw print. Originally, I will tell you that all the librarians are trained on how this works. There are staffing changes that we don't always know about until after the fact. So there are times that there are things that we don't know. Maybe this person is the librarian that I communicate with, but the person running the program is someone totally different. So often I depend on the volunteers, the teams, to tell me, hey, I was there and no one kept time. I was there and no one was signed up and people were wandering around aimlessly. I rely on the volunteers to tell me that, because then I can have a conversation with the librarian and say, hey, or I might just show up and say, what's going on? And try to redirect the program so that it's the way it's supposed to be. Make sense? Okay. All right, so we talked about age limit, that there is none. We talked about parents.
What about if siblings are there?
Siblings. So absolutely. So sometimes there can be a sibling that will read at the same time. Sometimes it's a time crunch, or they've just mom signed up one kid, but this one wants to read too. Sometimes they'll say, you want to take turns? They can take turns, or maybe the other sibling's just going to sit and wait till they're done. I've seen it before where there's an older sibling, there's the 12-year-old that's just sitting with the 4-year-old because mom and dad are doing something else. But again, positive. Just try to make it as positive as possible. But you do want to make sure that the child is getting that attention that they want. I've seen it where there's the reader that's 5 and the sibling that's 2. But the sibling that's 2 is just sitting there listening to Big Brother read, which is what they do at home. So things like that are just natural situations where, again, as long as you're not seeing where that child is being stressed, that's what we want to avoid. We want to make sure that it's a good thing for the child. We want that PAWS magic where they're excited to be reading, they're excited to be at the library, they're excited for that book.
Well, what if 2 children are there and only one is signed up, and then the other child wants to read, and you have somebody else coming?
Okay, so if it's a sibling, then you can say it's mom or dad who's collecting them and say, hey, can you see the librarian to sign up? There is a line and someone else is waiting. We would love for you to read, but we have someone waiting right now. Can you check with the librarian if there might be another team that's available? Because often, depending on the library, it might be a 1-team visit. We have libraries that have as many as 4 visits. If you go to the Kirkwood Highway Library, they have 4 teams at a time. So they literally can take, I can't do the math that fast, but 4 times, 6 in the hour. So 24, they can have 24 kids in an hour. Again, the libraries are all different based on what they tell us their needs are. So we may say, okay, we're going to start you with 1 visit a month, and it does really well. Okay, would you like to either add a second visit or a second team? And then we'll take it from there. So as their needs change, we make adaptations to provide the best visits for them. Make sense? Okay. So what can you do if there's not enough time for them to finish the book? You can invite them to come back. You can give them one of your handy dandy bookmarks and say you can put it in there, you can check that book out, and you can keep reading when you get home. You can read to either your own pet, or if you have a stuffed animal that you can read to. Different solutions for like a quick question. If a child's afraid of the dog, again, they don't have to sit very close, they can sit far away. Guess what? He's got real big ears. He can hear you from across the room, right? Okay. Be creative, right? So if you have a child that's hesitant, just be encouraging. You don't have to be forceful, but just be encouraging. Well, he's been waiting all day to come here. He's been waiting to hear you, right? You can read a little bit yourself to try to encourage them. Say, well, if I read a sentence, would you like to read a sentence too? Just different little things, just to see how you can engage with them to get them to read with you. If you have a slow reader, you have all the time in the world. Just sit back and listen. So if your pup won't hold still, sometimes you can use TREATs to keep them engaged. Like if you put it in your hand and put it somewhere that maybe they look now like they're laying down and focused on you, right? If your pup falls asleep, we had a team that was notorious. Her dog always fell asleep. You could hear him snoring. She would say, oh, you're such a good reader, you put him to sleep. Right? Nothing wrong with that. Okay. So maybe the child, again, is nervous. You could just encourage them like, hey, come back next time. And maybe they'd want to read next time. So again, different strategies to get them engaged and involved. So if a child is reading and they're having a hard time with the word, what do you do? So you would ask them if they'd like help. So we never want to be like the teacher and start like correcting them or anything. We want to make sure that we're asking them. If you ask them, would you like help with that word? If they say, yes, I would, then it's okay to help them. But we don't want to assume that we're just going to be impatient and read over them and say, da, 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 this is this. No, we want to make sure that they're enjoying the process. Because again, if they're being taught how to read, there are certain things that they have to do in a certain amount of time. We want to make the situation more comfortable than that. That's our goal, is to make them happy and comfortable and to enjoy the process. So, what do you have to make sure that you do while you're doing your visit? The two-hand hold. So, is it hard to put a blanket out holding a leash? Yeah, it is. Is it possible? Yes, it is. We have teams that say, I can hold a glass of wine, but still have the two-hand hold, and yes, they can. So again, I would very much advise that you practice setting up at home before you can get your dog used to a certain blanket, so they know this is our work blanket. I can't tell you how many teams say, oh, we were reading already, we have already been sitting there, and this is the blanket. So whenever they go to that library, they take that blanket, and some may teach their dog place, the command place, and they'll teach them to place on the blanket. So they'll put the blanket out. I put it on the table, but I would show you that you can flip the blanket out, put it down. If you kick it with your foot a little bit, set everything up. Again, open the stamps when you're home. Don't wait till you get to the library to open the stamps up. And then you can hold on to your dog at all times. So, can a child take your dog to go find a book? No, because you have to always, always, always maintain control of your pup. So, two-hand hold. Make sure that your pup is comfortable and engaged as much as they can be. Sometimes they do fall asleep, and that's fine. If they get restless, you may absolutely just like help them redirect a little bit. If you need to just walk around the room a little bit, or if you need to take them out, do not deny them like a potty break if they need it, because you want to make sure that your pet is safe and comfortable and happy as well. So, how does reading to an animal help a child?
Encourages them to read because it's fun.
Absolutely. It encourages them to read because it's fun. Children are, for the most part, naturally relaxed around animals. And again, animals are synonymous with fun. So reading to a dog reduces the self-consciousness. It helps improve skills.
No judgment.
No judgment. And they're just enjoying their time with your therapy companion. They get to then get their reading card that said, I read to Murphy, I read to Molly, I read to Hayes, I read to Willie, I read to Dolly. They get to get that card and they can go home and then show, if there was another parent that wasn't there, they can show that parent, they can show their siblings. But children are remarkably very, very proud of having that card to be able to show, hey, I read to so-and-so today. Children often do collect those cards as well as they collect the stamps to get that t-shirt. Other questions about our PAWS for Reading program? Okay, so I will tell you how we do the library scheduling if you're interested in reading at the libraries. I do the scheduling for the libraries once a quarter. I will send out an email to all of our reading teams and it'll say, hey, here's a link to some Google surveys. Each survey is by county, so there's one for Newcastle County, there's one for Hartford and Cecil counties, there's one for Delaware County, Chester County, and Sussex County, and Kent County. So we have each county separated. You would click the link for the county or counties that you'd like to visit with. There is then it's in quiz format, and there's just like the library. It'll say Kirkwood Highway, like Wednesdays, like 1st and 3rd, 7 to 8, and it would have all the dates. It would say like March 11th, March 18th, March 25th, and you would just check the box of whichever one you wanted. You would do that for any of the libraries that you see, submit that. That all comes back to me in the form of a spreadsheet, and then I go through and I assign teams to those dates. That then gets uploaded in the Impact app. Do you have the Impact app? Okay, so that will have a tab that has schedules on it, so I always include that. There's just a little quick direction sheet that says schedules. You would log in, hit schedules, and it would say, I'm scheduled for Kirkwood on the 18th, I'm scheduled for Kirkwood on the 25th, I'm scheduled for Kent County on April 4th. Like, it would have all that out there for you. I also then send a schedule to all of the libraries with the complete schedule for that library, and I attach all the teams on that too. So you would say, okay, I'm going to Kirkwood, so I'm getting this Kirkwood schedule for the next quarter. So it would have like March, April, May on there. You would see where your name is. It's going to have the time, the date, your name, and your therapy companion's name and phone number. So the librarians can reach you if there's an emergency closure. If you have ever a reason where you're like, oh, I'm signed up to go to the library, but I can't make it tonight. Something came up. If it's a weekday, email me, call me, let me know. I will try to find a sub for the library. If it's a weekend, I don't always see my email on the weekend. So if you could contact the library directly and say, I'm not going to make it, so that they understand. And if it's a one-team visit, they don't have readers waiting. They can let them know, sorry, we're not going to have a team today. Make sense? Okay. Questions? Yeah, absolutely. Other questions? No other questions at all. But thank you all so much for coming. If you have any other questions, I'm going to grab my card for you so you all have my contact information, and then I'll give you your bags. Is that good?